Welcome everyone to episode number 2 of the BuzzCast, the Bootleggers podcast. You are joined by just 2 of us today. So this is Flames talking to you now, and then we also have Mr. Riot here. Hello, Mr. Riot.
Oh, Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year to all. It was a pretty good end to the year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people had a lot of fun. There was a lot going on, and waiting to see what the new year has in store, huh?
What was the best gift that you gave?
I gave?
Christmas.
Oh,
Yeah, what was the best Christmas gift?
my 3-year-old got a race car bed, and I'm super jealous. I realize
Oh
now
my
that
God.
I actually wanted it for myself when I bought it, and I get so filled with jealousy when I see him sleeping in it.
I'm jealous.
My wife's not going for a king-size race car bed. I can live vicariously through him. What about you?
You must. Best gift given was probably the Harry Potter full box set of books, because I had a great time reading them when I was younger, and I wanted to give the same experience to my very young niece. So that was a pretty good gift. I hope she enjoys it.
Nice.
Yeah, we hope you all had a lovely festive time and a good end of the year. I know that January can sometimes be a bit of a lull, but I think we had a pretty good end of December with some events and stuff. It is just the 2 of us today. We're still finding our feet with this podcast a little bit. We were obviously quite busy over New Year and stuff, but we hope over the next couple of weeks that the concept becomes a little bit more polished in terms of the guests that are coming on and the way that it's looking and stuff. But we will crack on. What's that?
I was just saying, Max would love to be here today with all of us, but he's busy with Reed's excuse, saving orphans.
Yeah, he's always doing that. That's his Sunday go-to. So yeah, we have a very loose agenda. We haven't actually done any
preparation.
You can probably tell that it's sort of unrehearsed. I think that hopefully adds a certain charm to it. But we've
barely even sobered up from last night, so we're just gonna wing this.
Yeah, indeed. So the first thing on our list that we thought we would talk about is we would just have a bit of an update about crew scoring and just have a look at what's going on in on the statistics page on the leaderboard, really. Starting with what happened in period 3, which came to a close quite recently. And Death Valley took the top spot by quite a considerable margin, over half a bill in front of the second place, the Royal Family. That was a big win.
It was a big win, and they've been pretty consistent in all of these rounds, getting up there. We remember last round before that, they led most of it, all the way up until the end when TRF kicked it into high gear on that last day, but they did not let that happen this time by just getting an insurmountable lead, and happy to see them do it.
Yeah, they've definitely been going for it. I mean, period 1 came 6th, period 2 pushed it to 2nd, narrowly missing out. Period 3, a win, and we're currently sat in period 4, and they're still on top. So they definitely seem like the one to beat on this scoring, right?
Yeah, they definitely are looking to build a dynasty. I remember back when I started playing, but after I took a little break and I came back and I was building, right before I built Zombie Campaign, Scandalous and I had been OCing together a lot, chatting. He asked me to join Death Valley, and I remember thinking, Death Valley, huh? That's a weird name. That'll never last. And here they are. I still love Scandalous, and I'm very happy to see that the crew that he has built way back then is now at the top of the leaderboard, along with some other heavy hitters out there. TRF is back at number 2. Har Har is always scheming and planning and putting his crew in the best position to win. They even, I believe, lost a few players from the previous round or the period. and they're still out there going strong.
Yeah. So then, yeah, in period 3, I mean, we had some other pretty cool stuff happen on the leaderboard. Had the company in the top 5. They placed in position 4 in period 3, and that's quite an achievement for a crew that usually sort of sit underground. I guess it's quite a that's
Uh,
probably quite interesting in terms of maybe we could invite those guys on actually and see what their plan is, whether they like this whole scoring concept.
from what I've heard from the feedback they've given, I don't think a lot of them do. It is quite the change to go from, I imagine, playing underground in the shadows to being right there, number 4 on the leaderboard. Just kind of over the stats though, the top 3 had almost separating them from number 4. It was such a high amount
Yeah.
off, and then even from 4 to 5 was 500 million. So
Yeah. And in terms of most improved, I'm looking at the Colombo family. So I sort of was tracking them from round 2, who finished in 13th position. And then in round 3, which obviously finished quite recently, they went to 7th. And then this current period that we're scoring in right now, they've jumped up to 4th. So in terms of most improved, they have just massively climbed the leaderboard. I invited those guys to come in and chat to us today. They didn't have anyone available, unfortunately, but I'd be quite keen to speak to one of those guys maybe in the next episode. I think that they must obviously be doing something different. I don't know whether it was just an increase in size of the crew, or if they actually have a different strategy. But yeah, those guys seem to be most improved.
it's definitely I'm actually really liking the leaderboard structure. I love the unlimited crews. I love to see all these new crews. People are getting a chance to make them, before when it was limited. I definitely do think some of the feedback that we have got was that killing needs to play a bigger role. And we've talked about, if you wipe a crew in front of you, their capo dies. It can't get passed on to anybody. They gotta work and grind to get back up to where they start collecting revenue. Now, it's not currently used as a tactic, because a lot of people are like, well, if we do that, then they're just going to wipe us out, and then everybody else gets the advantage on us. So we're definitely looking at ways and taking in feedback to see how we can make it not feel like so much of a grind to get to those top spots. And that killing can play a larger role. So we do appreciate all the feedback everyone's been giving us, and we do discuss it with our feedback group and with Kyle. So,
And
I want to apologize. I sound like I'm talking out of a baked potato right now. I'm working on my mic issues.
It's not quite as bad as last week, but it's still not the best, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the other things, I mean, when you now win a period, you get like the little trophy case on your crew profile, which is quite cool. So it sort of keeps track of who was contributed to the score during that winning period. One of the things that Kyle's already said that he would work on is we sort of put our heads together just before Christmas and said that it'd be nice if you could have the trophy case as one tab, but then on another tab you could have like a position tracker, and it's sort of like doing what we just did manually there with the Colombo family, which is that you could say how many crews were in a certain period, and then over the period you would see them climb up like a line graph to go like 14, 7, 4. I think that would be pretty cool as well. I think Carl did say that he's going to try and work on something like that, make it a bit more graphical.
Yes, and I believe Criminal Grounds still having issues with their trophy case, so we will have to get that figured out soon. Yeah. We are working with that.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, and then so plenty of other crews on the list. So period 3, we saw 36 crews, including our own, actually have some sort of score. What are we at? So I think that's period 3 sort of done to death. What are we looking like at this point? So obviously we touched on Death Valley still there. The company in second position. So even if they're not the happiest about this whole scoring thing, they're certainly showing how it can be done. That's quite impressive. And Royal Family dropping off a bit. They've got down to 8th. Have not started very strongly in period 4.
You know, they've been grinding and grinding, and they've been towards the top in most of these periods so far. I imagine that some crews are just going to go, you know what, we're going to take a regular period, that top spot, and then maybe towards the end, you know, they kick it up to try and overtake whatever spot, a few spots ahead of them, just to get a better prize. But I imagine that right now, playing it very competitively every single period could be a little taxing.
I think it could be. I think you're right. I mean, obviously, the next set of developments that we're looking to put into the game are to reduce the need of a lot of clicks via an energy model, which people would have seen during the Halloween event. So I think maybe with it being less click intensive, I think the scoring might actually become a little bit nicer, because it doesn't, the only people that win aren't going to be the people that click, click, click all day. I mean, obviously those people should still get a benefit for their activity, but I think we do need to change the game slightly, because I think all of these intensive clicks are not the most interesting thing to do.
That's kind of what Kyle's mentioned to us, is that he does want to get the game away from that very grind heavy style, and we'll see what the next batch of updates bring.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, once we've all got out of holiday mode, I'm sure we'll start to ramp things back up, right?
I just took down my Christmas decorations, and I'm already putting up my Halloween decorations.
Nice. Okay, that's cool. So there's quite a few crews on the list scoring in our current period 4, and I wish you all luck. One of the crews that I'm sort of looking at that's been very consistent in terms of their position is Legion, and they caught my eye because they were the next thing that we were going to talk about in today, which was their bust party that they hosted, or the several bust parties that they hosted on the lead up to Christmas. I think it happened on, what day did it happen on? It was like the 21st of December or something like that, 22nd of December, something like that. That was a big bust party, wasn't it?
It was a lot better than last year's New Year's Eve bust party.
Yeah.
You remember that?
No, what happened?
Some guy created I can remember the name right now, created a bus party, and he said,
is this the scammer?
New Year's Eve bus party? Yeah. And I think Kyle donated, what, 50 million, 100 million for the bus party?
Yeah.
And the guy gave it to his friend, Abu Wufi, or something like that. It was really extended. And the guy was like, what? And he made a dupe and tried to send it to the money, and
he did send the money. Kyle banned him himself. I think that's the only person Kyle ever banned himself.
Kyle had to research into it, find it, ban the guy, and a few weeks later we were hired as mods. I was like, I'm not going through that again.
Yeah. One ban for anyone off, isn't it? So yeah, I think it was. I've just researched the topic. It was the 22nd of December, so just before Christmas. Legion hosted this crazy big bus party. I'm sure everybody saw it because the topic was live for like a good 10 days before the actual event took place. So I think what happened was that they did one topic, and I think they knew that it was going to be quite big, because the initial topic they started. I think was it Kirby or somebody like that donated a lot of money to it. Who was some of the bigger donators? I'll have a look in a minute. Hank, 50 million. Strike Back, 50 million. After a few of them have donated quite a lot, I also put in 50 million, because I think what we typically try and do with bus parties is that we try and put it to some sort of like percentage. Like we're not gonna put in 50 million if you only put in $1 million, for sort of thing, because it wouldn't seem too fair. But anyway, this sort of thing obviously started to get some crazy traction. It obviously started escalating to the point at which the first one had at one point had like 300 million in it or something. And that's when, sorry, go on.
So I was going to say, yeah, the one I donated and ended up 317 million. I donated 70 million. I like to do just a little more than you to let people know I care.
You always try and do a little bit more than me. Apart from help desk tickets. Whoa, burn!
Oh.
So anyway, at this point, Baron, who I think is the boss of Legion, started having a chat with us and saying, you know, is there anything that we can do that's a little bit, you know, to put the cherry on the top. Weren't really sure exactly what we could do, but we started like throwing some numbers around, and I think at first he was sort of joking by saying, would Kyle make it a round billion? and I was like, well, initially I was like, no, obviously that's just going to be a crazy amount. But the more, to be honest, it got to the point where they had already, by the time I actually got to talk to Kyle about it, it was already at 500 million in player donations. So I was like, well, in the end, Kyle was pretty happy to stake up the next 500 million and make it over the course of over the three parties. We had two times 300 million, or way over 300 million, and then Kyle did one, but he was the only donator at a cool $500 million in one donation.
My favorite thing about Kyle is whenever we some players give us like a crazy idea and we're like, we'll ask him. I'm like, hey Kyle, how about this? Yeah, and he's like, yeah, that sounds old. Sure, I'll do it. $500 million.
Stuff like that. I'm always asking with a bit of trepidation, like a child asking for like a new games console or something. And I'm always like, so Kyle, do you think you might want to? And he's always like, yeah, that's good. He's like, do you think 2 billion would be too much?
What's another 3 billion?
But anyway, so the date came around. We ended up with Kyle's $500 million player donations and a few from us, totaling about 650 million or something. So well over $1 billion, and 3 guys from Legion, who were Lorelei, Trojan, and was it Hank was the last one, I believe, were all in, where did they do it? It was in California jail, wasn't it? Because it ended up being a bit of a, it ended up being a bit strange because it was in, obviously the event was in New York at the time, so it was almost like the whole game moved away from the Christmas event to play Legion's Bus Party for a couple of hours. But whilst it was happening, we also, so when we were speaking to Baron, the other thing that we said that we could look at was to remove the jail time, the jail badges, so that the busting was a little bit easier.
Which
so we had
always
that turned
goes
off.
Great on other bus parties.
It does. It does. Yeah.
It completely underestimated the size of this one.
How many people were playing? Yeah, it was. I mean, you don't know these things as you try. It is something we've done once before, I think, and it was absolutely fine, once or twice anyway, and it was fine. So yeah, but for the first hour of that bus party, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I had some people message me, and I thought, oh, maybe they're just whining a little bit. But I tried to bust it on my phone, and it was impossible. It was just, it was crazy. So we talked. Kyle was watching it at the time, and I said to him, "Oh, it's pretty crazy, isn't it?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll turn it down." So yeah, so. First hour was pretty crazy, but it was a great party. I mean, there was loads of people involved. I think in total there was a crazy amount of busts, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, there was something like I think each one of the guys ended up doing something like well over 1,000 busts themselves. I think so. It was pretty huge. I mean, the so what was it? Party number 3, which was Carl's donation, had 849 busts on it. 849. That is big. Party number 2 had over 1,000 busts, 1,100 and something, and the party number 1 had 980. So we're all sitting at around 1,000 busts. I mean, that is just that is a pretty huge party for $1 billion, isn't it?
Oh man, that's.
It's fun. It was fun.
Where were these bus parties back when I was a broke player?
Oh yeah, right. That's what
People were with $19 million.
No, for like a couple of hours work, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to throw out a one shout out because there was a guy who was in the top 3 in all 3 bus parties, I believe. Did I read that wrong? Oh no, so he was number 1 in one of them, number 4 in another, and number 4 in another. So he was like top 5 and won one of them. And it was a guy called Joe Meister. That's absolutely insane stats to get that many busts on that many different parties all in one go. So I just wanted to give him a little shout out. That's pretty good. Anything else to say about the bus party? I think it was good fun. Made the game feel super busy for a few hours anyway.
That was definitely a nice little action-packed event, and we'll definitely look to sponsor more.
Well, come at us with your ideas. We are happy. We are here not just for your. We are here not only for your information, but we can also help to make the game a little bit more fun if you've got some ideas. The last thing that we had to discuss on our list was the Christmas event. The Christmas event, I'm sure you all saw it, was hosted in New York this year. Had some cool visuals that Kyle put together again. So we've seen a couple of things that I think are like event staples now. So we've got the prize wheel, we've got the bar, which gives you sort of essentially you pick your own half timers by drinking different drinks. We had this time that we had something a lot different though, which when it was and this is really strange because when it was initially posted, I saw pure hatred in the forums for what Kyle had created. Pure hatred. And then after about 3 days, I saw no hatred. So I'm going to read into that once people started playing the Christmas event missions, they were enjoying it. And that's how I think I'm reading it.
It was really funny to watch some of the names that were creating hate topics in the beginning, where once they saw other people start to get these cool items and do these unique missions, and all of a sudden they were deep into it, answering questions on the mission thread, trying to figure it out. And there was I think it just every time an event comes, we get the is it the same? Collect a bunch of these and then spend them in this store. Oh, it's just massive clicking. So then we changed it to the energy model, which didn't have as much clicking. You do your clicking really fast. And then it was like, they're still doing this. This is just basically, it's still get these currency, spend it at the store. And, Kyle went out and created this whole new story mode for Christmas. And then people were like, where's our clicking in store?
Yeah, you can't do right for doing wrong sometimes, can you? And I suppose one of the things that is also interesting is that obviously, so these Christmas missions, which was essentially made the basis of the event, also ticked off something that was in the suggestions box, with 450 suggestions being the top rated suggestion, which is add more missions. So he sort of like tried to combine the player's top suggestion along with a really nice new way of doing an event. So I think he did really well on it. I played through all the missions myself. I really enjoyed them. I want to finish on a high, so I guess we'll talk about the low. The low being that hard mission, if you pick hard, I mean that was hard, wasn't it? So we're in a group chat with the HDOs, and Roll Strike Back I think failed the didn't he fail the mission 14 times or something? Was it 14
I thought I got to 15.
15 times.
15 was the highest I heard.
I mean, that is that must have got pretty stressful. So I mean, it's whether obviously that's an extreme case because I think a lot of people did it a long time before then as well. Obviously, it's just pure luck, isn't it? It was 1 in 5 times it should have done it.
And I think maybe one of the ideas that I got that I think would work out is we can talk to Kyle about adding a cap. So once it reaches a point well past the expected return,
Yeah,
it could be an auto, like at 10, it automatically does it. Because, it was a
yeah,
lot of work.
it is a lot of work.
And,
It is a lot of work. Yeah.
hey, I think it was a great idea. I think it was absolutely brilliant. I think the prize was worth it because you grind for a few hours, a few days, maybe a week if you're strike back. And all of a sudden you get a free pass to dawn on your next death.
Yes.
Uh,
So yeah, so sorry, strike back, but I think you failed a little bit there. So did you play the missions, right? Did you go through
I
them?
played through some of them. Had a lot going on this holiday season. But I definitely tried to play through on the dev server when they first came out, and then just to get a feel for them. I didn't complete all the missions.
So just in case any,
Did
I
you?
did complete all of the missions. I did.
Did you do it on hard?
I know, I'm not that silly.
I'm already done.
Yeah. So just for
Get
anyone that missed
fired.
it, slash, sorry, go on.
So just in case we get fired and get instant killed right away, that Dawn thing might be a nice.
Yeah, I'm keeping that orb forever. Um, so yeah, just to go through them. I think there were some cool missions there, but the first one was to bust Marco out of jail. Then you had to steal his car, and for that you got a new item, which was another theme of these missions, and something that I think will be a continuing theme in the game's development in 2020. And this is something that we've always said is that a nice sandbox, like a nice testing area for new features, is during events because it's temporary. You can take it out, and it's a nice way of sort of road testing something. So we've seen the road test of the energy model in the Halloween. We've seen road testing of a lot of new items in the Christmas event, and we're thinking that these are some of the developments you're probably going to see in 2020. But after job 2, you received a candy cane dynamite, which 5 times the vault and gave the EE 100% success rate for their position.
Which was
Uh,
a little confusing for players. We did have to get clarification. Just because you're the EE and you have 100% does not mean it's 100% success rate for the entire OC. It's just
Sorry.
your spot, and then it takes all of the percentages and takes the average, and that is what it is.
And if you strike back, you'll fail something like 50, and in 50 within 55 OCs will fail, something like that, as long as you strike back. So don't assume 10. So job 3 was to complete an OC with Marco. You could like invite him, and he behaved like a what do they call him, like an NPC. Yeah, so job 4 was to commit crimes in New York, and then job 5 you get some reindeer. That was quite fun. You were just doing the auto burglaries. There was a nice theme of a story throughout all of this. Actually, I think Kyle did actually make quite a fun story, didn't he? There was like different characters, and it was quite Christmassy. It was quite festive. And eventually, you find a garage. You get some more reindeers, and then something happens during job 7, which is that your rackets become disabled
A lot of
because
help desk
enemy.
tickets on that.
Wow, yeah, and game forum posts for days after we were initially had people start this mission. So the idea was that enemy enforcers were stopping you being able to do anything with your own businesses, e.g., your rackets. Plenty of help desk tickets, because obviously we don't usually do stuff like that that impedes with your account and your ability to make cash. But it's quite a nice addition to a story, I think. And perhaps in future, again, these are sort of trials for potential developments where, it would be quite cool if you could perform an action on an enemy crew to stop them being able to get rackets, wouldn't it? Something like that, of that nature. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool idea.
Anytime we get something like that, as with the teddy bear and stuff, uh, the side that's using it absolutely loves it. The side that is kind of impacted by it does not But items are still getting figured out.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's hard to balance items sometimes. So I think in an event arena, it's quite nice because we can sort of see how they go. And I know you were asking for some feedback on the forums about the items specifically. So anyway, you end up whacking the enemy enforcers. That unlocks the rackets, and you get equipped with another item, which is a dagger, which you can use. Gives you a 1 in 10 chance to not use any bullets on your whack attempt.
A
That's
lot
a
of
pretty cool
people, sorry to talk to you. A lot of people
item.
said that it's a very low percentage, 10% chance. I think it's pretty good. I definitely think we'll see some better items come out in the future that are a little more hard to achieve. This was just the first sidearm out there.
Yeah,
I do believe that there's going to be more that are continuing to be made that have different perks. But for this one that everybody could get in the event, I think it's pretty good.
I think it's pretty cool. And then finally, job 9, Marco gets whacked mid-job. So your sort of like companion gets whacked, and then the final job is to whack the enemy boss and ultimately get the garage key, which gives you your orb. And you had a choice of easy, medium, and hard, which again is something that we haven't seen before. Which again I think is something that could be a bit of a proof of concept, which is that you can sort of choose your own path a little bit more in terms of, in this case, how hard the mission was. But maybe it's maybe you get different options in terms of what your your outcome might be in terms of your reward. So I think it's nice that Kyle had a few of those elements that we've been talking about recently. So all in all, I think he did a really great job on this event. He ticked off the highest player suggestion, which is new missions, tested a load of new items, and also made it like a little bit more personal in terms of you could choose how hard you wanted your missions and stuff. So I think he did a really good job. And I think ultimately I didn't see the first few days, it was chaos in terms of how much negativity there was about the event. And after about 48 hours, maybe 3 days, I saw nothing.
People start getting those items.
Yeah.
Items. They're like, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did see quite a lot of positive, like quite a lot of thanks to Kyle and stuff. So I think he did a good job. I think everyone thought he did a good job on that. So yeah, I'm just for us now. It's the start of a new year. I think we're starting to get back into the swing of things now, and I think it'd be nice to see what we can, what new developments and what we take away from some of what happened over Christmas.
Hey, it's kind of rough for Kyle that he spent all that time writing all those new missions, and now that the event's over, they're all gone. Unless, of course, for the Easter event, it's just a find, replace, Santa to Easter Bunny, reindeer to eggs.
Yeah, it could happen, couldn't it? Candy cane dynamite to something chocolatey.
Heaps.
Well, that was the end of our list of stuff to talk about. Is there anything else you want to discuss?
No, I think that's everything. There is one thing I do want to mention. You touched on it earlier. I want you guys to know what a champ Flames is. Since we have started as help desk, or not help desk guys, it's the help desk operators table I'm looking from. As mods, Flames here has worked on 1,589 help desk tickets.
Boom!
To my 1,276. Shy Guy has only done 223. What a lazy piece of
I can't believe this guy. Yeah, to be fair, it didn't add his HDO ones, but I think he only did 10 as an HDO, didn't he? So lazy.
Lazy enough to make mod.
That should be a
perfect. He'll fit right
in. Any other shout outs you want to do?
Strike Back and Wonder have been doing a great job as help desk operators. It's really nice to see this this staff size kind of grow. A lot of people contributing to the game. we have received some feedback that we want the Discord channel to become more active, and we're definitely looking into ways to do that and try and get some contests and stuff going on there. So once again, anything you feel like, feel free to send us your feedback. We do take it all to heart. We do discuss it with Kyle. We discuss it with the feedback group. So every day, just trying to make the game better, and we appreciate all of you for being with us.
Oh, I would say a similar message. And yeah, I think that sort of wraps it up for today. Episode 3, I guess, will probably be in, we've said 2 weeks. Don't want to be, so I guess it will be in roughly 2 weeks' time, probably on a Saturday or Sunday. But thank you so much for listening. And today is the Sunday, the 5th of January, 2020. And I hope you've had a very lovely end and start to your new year. Bye, everyone.
Bye.